welcome everybody to this breakout session and Q&A. My name is Rebecca Swanson. I am a Growth Gen resident mentor, and I'm also a business strategist and personal mastery coach. So I'm really excited to talk to Brad today. So Brad, if you are there, if you could unmute and turn your video on. So what we're going to be chatting today, there we go.
Hi, sorry.
How are you?
Yeah, good, Beck. Good.
That's awesome. So guys, as we all know, every business has a story, as we've just heard from Cam, and Brad's story and journey is no different. So Brad was a former accountant, funnily enough, and knowing you, Brad, that seems odd to me, but you were formerly an accountant and you developed a passion for Bikram Yoga.
Yes.
And then decided 10 years ago to pretty much jump ship from accounting and open your own studio and dive in absolutely head first. Now, that has not been a smooth ride, like any business owner finds out after they make that big jump. So today we're going to be chatting a little bit about your challenges and really the benefits of you not giving up as well. Because Bikram Yoga, especially over the last couple of years with COVID lockdowns, for those who don't know, Bikram Yoga is hot room yoga.
It is, yeah.
So it's like 40-degree heat.
Person contact, yes.
Yeah, so it's not something that can generally be transferred off your studio site.
No, and Bikram yogis want their studio and their heat. They don't want online classes. So, it created a bit of a challenge.
Wow. Okay, so just really briefly, what is Bikram Yoga?
So Bikram Yoga, we do it in a heated room. It's a yoga therapy series. So it's 26 postures, 2 breathing exercises. You do it with a qualified teacher. And the series is designed to be really healing and holistic for the body. So from a therapy point of view, from a physical point of view, it's amazing just to open for your movement, flexibility, better balance, strength, sweating, detoxifying the body. But it does a lot of mindset work as well. So you are in that challenging room for that class. So it just teaches you just how to ground and breathe, focus, release a lot of stress, and learn just to be with yourself. It's all about that mind-body connection. And I've done a lot of work on mind-body connection, and Bikram really works for that.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so Brad, beginning of this year, you reached out to me to do some work on your business.
I did.
So tell me, what was going on for you at that time with your business? Yeah,
well, I've literally in my 9th year of owning the studio. So we're not a new studio anymore. And the year we had just been through had been one of the toughest years in business. So being in business a long time, you've had some really successful years where things flowed and it went really well, but had some other years that were really tough. And not just COVID, like we had just been through COVID, but our industry had also been through a fundamental change over the last couple of years. Lots of gyms were bringing in their own hot yoga rooms, a lot of extra competition. So basically what we had been doing before just wasn't working anymore, and a lot of studios had even closed down through all the changes going through the industry. It was just sort of, okay, where do we go from here? Because what we've done in the past isn't going to keep working. What can we do? How do we evolve the business model? What are some of the opportunities? So I knew I needed to keep growing and make changes, and I was really just looking for the right person to work with me to do that, because I just needed to expand my thinking if possible. Yeah.
And I think that's a great reflection of yours as well as a business owner, that you can get really stagnant, I guess, when you've been in business for quite some time. And if you don't continue to grow, external circumstances will kind of force you to really revisit and look at your business.
It's easy to get on autopilot when you've done something for a long time. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And you had a lot of external influences. So not only did you have a COVID lockdown for quite some time, which completely, I know, rocked you guys, and you also had problems within the Bikram industry, but also
huge problems.
in terms of competition as well. So there was a lot of things coming at you. Now,
it was just like this weather storm of bang, bang, bang. Yeah.
So in pivoting, in needing to pivot your business, because that was really what it was about. It was, let's look at the business model. Let's have a look at where the opportunities are, where the gaps are, and how do you pivot to make sure that you can weather the next 10 years in business.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I remember you saying to me when we first caught up that you'd always wanted to do retreats. In fact, for a couple of years, you'd been wanting to add retreats to your business.
I had, yes.
Yeah. So what was it? Why hadn't you done it? And what was it that had to shift for you?
Well, on the surface, I was using just so busy doing all the other things of the business. So it just never really got to the top of the list. But then, we're talking about, okay, we've got to expand, we've got to do new things. What does the community need? What are we going to offer? And when it literally came time, okay, to do a retreat, I felt like, oh, would anyone show up? Who's going to be there? Do I know enough? Can I do this? Can I actually sell a product for a few $1,000s versus what I had done before? I just really questioned my confidence around it, and I was just there was a big fear of rejection. I was like, what if no one shows up? It brought up a lot of inner thoughts. There's that voice in their head got pretty loud to say, like, can I do this? Yeah.
So it was a mindset game. So what was it? When we sat down and really unpacked that and realized that it was just a fear and it was a mindset fear.
Totally.
What then happened? Because I know you then decided in that moment, it only took about 20 minutes to unpack it. And once you unpacked it, you then went on to run your first retreat really, really quickly. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I think these thoughts that were going through my head, because I've been so focused on other things, I didn't even realize they were there. And then we're mapping out, okay, what are we going to do to expand the business model? And it was quite clear retreats were such a huge opportunity. And then this nurse came up and I was like really emotional about it. I was resistant. And when I spoke all this out loud, our conversation was really powerful, because the response was, well, what if only 2 people show up? What's the worst that can happen? And I was, if 2 people came, they'd get me for a full weekend. They would have the best retreat ever. They would love it. They'd come back and talk about it. It'd still be a step forward. I would have written the program. It would, what I thought was a disaster in my head for what was the worst case scenario, actually, wasn't the case at all when I spoke it out loud. Yeah.
And so within 6 weeks, you created the retreat, you marketed the retreat, you sold it out in 2 days, and you held the retreat in 6 weeks, and it was a massive success.
Yes.
So what did you learn?
I learned definitely you need back yourself. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Getting out of the comfort zone. So that was a huge lesson. Talking things out. Like, I didn't even realize all this stuff was going on inside of me until I just sat with someone and flushed it out over a few sessions. And just getting really clear on all the doors you can open, and just settling on, rather than trying to open 10 doors at once, just say, hey, I'm just going to do this one thing. I'm going to focus on it. We're going to open this door, going to see where it goes, and getting really, really clear on what door to open, and then just walking through that, and it just flowed. So,
Beautiful. Wonderful. So apart from the retreats, we actually did have a couple of gaps that we identified in your business. So what were the key? There was a couple of really key ones. What were the gaps that we identified that you then started to shift within your business?
Well, I think being in business so long, a lot of things were happening on autopilot. The biggest gap that I remember us talking about and flushing out that I didn't even realize was there was, I've now been a practitioner of Bikram Yoga for 15, 16 years. And I was not realizing that I had really disconnected from a part of my database. And the part I mean is most of my time, my conversations were happening with students who'd practiced a really long time. And I was struggling to get back into the shoes of someone walking into my business for the first time, or someone who's just started, and the concerns they have, the questions they have, the experiences they have, the hurdles that they go through as they're building their practice. I think I just moved so far in my journey beyond that. I was not really relating to that part. And when we looked at the numbers, that part of my database, and I'm talking about people who come through on an intro offer or just buy a 10 class pass and not actually on a membership yet, is like 30% of my business. So that's too big part of your business to not be connecting to. I even part of me was getting frustrated with that side of the business. Why can't they just commit and find their practice? But so that was a huge gap. So a lot of our work was, I was so glad we identified a blind spot in my business, 30% of my business, because then there was such opportunities to work with that group in our business as well.
Yeah. And one of the things that really, I think, have been really powerful is getting back and talking to those people and really getting to understand them. I think that's been something that you've been working on quite a lot. What have you learned about going back when things and getting to know that customers, and the fact that you've got different types of customers, but getting to know deeply with those guys? Like,
I got goosebumps asking that question, because I went back and just started interviewing people who just hadn't done that for years and years in my business. We always have chats on the front desk, but it can be a little bit surface. And I mean, just asking someone to come in early, no one's around, spend half an hour with that person, and just really dive into what they're going through in their life, where they're at with their health, what they're looking to achieve, what are their biggest challenges, what blocks have been coming up. And just having those conversations, I really started to understand and see patterns that I didn't know were there within this customer group. Of their concerns were repeating themselves over and over and over. And I didn't even, realize that was there. So it wasn't until we had these chats, and I got it in their language, in their words as well. So it's not just assuming that I know what my customer is feeling or experiencing in their life. I actually confirmed it. And there was things, especially around body image, around work and family pressures, just different things that were going on in their life around why they were struggling with their health. And it was just really powerful to understand that again. Yeah.
Based on that, you were able to then create a specific program and engagement plan to support those early adopters of the Bikram practice. And that's something that was missing at the time. So,
well, I thought we had all the information there, and we did have the information there about what Bikram Yoga is and how to get started, but we didn't have the information there to help someone if they are struggling with their body image, or if they're struggling to find the time and to be consistent, or if they've got concerns over the practice themselves. Like, we weren't answering those questions on our website or anything. So I was like, whoa, okay, we can actually work with this and build a bridge to help people as they start to build and grow and go through their journey, change.
So then once you started to kind of deep dive and really understand this group of people, there was a big project that you were working on, and then unfortunately COVID hit again, and there was another 4 or 5 months of lockdown, which we've only just come out of for you in October. And so what has been, I'm going to say, the gift of the second COVID lockdown for you and your business? Because challenges as they arise, we speak about a lot, create opportunities. So what were the gifts that you found in this second lockdown with COVID?
Well, it took a while to find the gifts, because after opening from COVID 1, and doing all this work over that year, we actually had our best year in business ever. We had recovered so strong and everything, the ship was sailing, the momentum was there. So this second COVID lockdown, and, initially it was just, it's just 1 week, we're okay, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. It just kind of was like this slow, cut off the momentum. So it took a while to find the gifts. But when I really got there, I thought, okay, Brad, this is a really unusual time of business. You've no longer got the tools you would normally need to use. What is it that people come and see you for? And I got really, really clear on this. And, that they come for their health, they come for their movement, they come for flexibility, they come for strength, they come for mindset, they come to release stress. You don't have your normal tools. What can we do with the tools that we have? And that was a really hard question to ask because it meant changing, adapting from all the plans that we had built and doing something completely different. And it's a door that I didn't want to open. When you're a Bikram yogi, you just, I have such a strong belief over so many years that you operate at this standard, and anything online is just not going to meet that standard in my head. So it was a really hard sort of transition. But when we got there, we saw the gifts that, hey, what are my students? What's the community really going through, and how can we help support them through this? Like, it's not what we would normally do, but what can we do to build a bridge? And asking that question just opened up so many gifts and led to building this online program that I'd never built before. And again, it was that thing, would anyone buy this? Would anyone come on board? And I thought maybe 10 or 15 might come on board, and we had 40 people come on board. They really needed it. They just wanted to connect to the community. They understood we're doing the best that we can do, and they got so much from the program that we built. But not only that, it was my healing to go through, because it was all about releasing stress and working through inner conflicts and staying on track and maintaining your health. And they're all the things, having your business shut down so abruptly, I needed to be working on as well. So it was kind of healing for them and healing for me. So,
yeah.
And I wrote things and created programs and training that I wouldn't have created otherwise, which...
Yeah, I remember you really struggled. There was a lot of people saying, Brad, you need to do something online. You need to be there. You need to do this. And you were so resistant. You're like, but you can't do it. It's not going to happen. My business doesn't work like that.
We tried it last COVID. Didn't work. I'd put up a block up that online didn't work for my business. And
So this was really the second time this year where you, as a business owner and as a person, have really identified your own blocks within your business and worked through it. Like you've actually.
And both times were about putting yourself out there with a program, your face on it for training and education and selling something. And so went through that process twice in 2 very different formats. And they were both successful.
Yeah, they were both amazingly successful. You pushed through that and evolving your business in the ways that you didn't think that you were going to, I think was a really, really good outcome for you. So you talked a lot about your healing. You had to go through and work through some things. So how much time do you invest in your own personal development as a business owner?
I really have a goal that every day I'm in business that I devote 2 hours, and those 2 hours are always to working on the business, projects, reading, personal development. Because in business, you're spinning different plates. You've got your marketing plate, you've got financials, you've got your staff. And for me, there's a lot of teacher development, student development, and they're all so many things. And what I know for sure in business is that you need to always be growing and evolving those areas all the time. And the only way you can do that is if you're learning and looking at it, asking questions, being creative, and just, what are the next steps? What does this area need? What do you do now? What don't you do now? And it's just such a crucial part of my business that time gets allocated every single day, whether it be reading or working with yourself as a coach, journaling on my own. Like, personal development comes in different ways, doing a course, and the things you focus on, your business needs more time and energy in different places at different times. So it's getting clear on what your business needs and where the personal development needs to funnel through to.
Absolutely. Yeah. So momentum in a business is key. Stopping and re-strategizing and looking at the problems and putting plans together are important, but then taking them out and continuing with motivation and momentum is really, really, really key to move through challenging times. So what are your tips? Like, what are the things that you've learned that are the most important to keep you focused and keep you productive in your business, especially considering you've been in business for 10 years as well?
Totally. Something that's really important, I think, is weekly accountability. So I know every single week getting really clear on what's going to make the biggest difference for this week, where you need to focus, what you want to achieve every single week, and being accountable, because as a business owner, you don't have a boss above you. So it's easy to get distracted and, waste time sometimes and, get a bit off the rails. So I find just having that roadmap, like that strategy above you, especially I love just having a one-page strategy. And this is something we've always worked together on, and it's really clear, the projects you're going to do, the projects you're going to leave, and then each week just saying, hey, okay, this part of the project's done, this is most important right now, and just having those 4 or 5 things every single week you're going to achieve. That's one of the most important things that keeps me focused and makes me feel like I've got momentum and going in the right direction.
And recently too, like just on that, you've made the decision a couple of weeks ago to say, you know what, these were the priorities, but I need to shift them, and this is what's important right now.
And I think COVID taught me that too. Like, you need to be adaptable with them. Yeah,
and not being so, okay, I'm just going to keep going, but actually stopping every week and going, okay, this is what was on the list. Is it still quite critical? Yeah.
This is critical. But do you know what? We've opened the door on this project because there's a few projects I wanted to do, and I thought it's not the right time for this. This is so much more important, or I'm feeling this right now too. So always, but it's a moving beast. Things don't just stay set in stone. So like I've had 20, 30-page business plans and never looked at them. So just having that one pager that can be adaptable, that feeds it, is really, really important. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so we don't have a lot of time left, but what have you learned? What's your biggest lessons in the last, through challenging times? What's the biggest lessons that you have learned for yourself?
Look, I think in business, one of the biggest lessons is you need to keep your tank full. I know if I'm tired and I'm empty and I'm forcing things through, I'm not productive and things go wrong and you get in a bad mood, and that just filters through your whole business to your staff. So taking time off, resting, having fun, like just I call it the innocent adventurer, like keeping that part of yourself full and alive, and doing what you need to for that. Like, that's a huge lesson. And
taking time off. I think as business owners, we forget to take time off.
We do.
Right?
And you feel like sometimes you feel like you're failing, or if you're not always ticking boxes or getting things done. But if you're not taking into account that other side, then you do feel like you're just caught in this mouse on a wheel and get really, really stuck, and things do go on autopilot. And it's funny in those times, if you're giving things space and you're filling up and having a bit of fun, the real ideas come at that time as well. The inspiration comes through. Sometimes you've just got to step away and
awesome.
So that's a really big lesson.
It's a big lesson, yeah. Awesome. Well, we are out of time, but thank you so much, Brad, for joining us and imparting your lessons through the last couple of years of a challenging business. I do appreciate, your contributions always in and every way. So you're welcome. So guys, up next, just so that you know as well, there is in the swag bag, there's a bit of a worksheet. So inspired by today's session, there's a few reflection questions there, and I encourage you to print it out and have a look at those questions and really ask yourself those questions within your business so that you know whether there's some opportunities for you to be a little bit more resilient, a bit more innovative, or anything else that you might need to reflect on when it comes to your business.